It's a leap year. Yep, 2024 is a leap year. So with that being said, it feels like it's only right for us to take a look across the college football landscape and pick out some teams that we think are set to make a leap in 2024. Let's start out here in Blacksburg, Virginia, baby. Va Tech, man, we have been pounding this drum for a minute. They are number 1 in the country in returning production. They were 7-6 in 2023. Tell you what, though, the Hokies, man, had the hot hand to finish the year. Finished 5-2 in their last 7. Kyron Drones also finished very strong. Transferred over from Baylor. Dude is solid. He's a specimen. He ran the ball for 176 yards in the bowl game. Do not be surprised in the slightest now if the Hokies throw on the Air Jordans, take a nice little jump going from 7 wins. I wouldn't be surprised if they won 9 football games. The ACC is wide open. You got your favorites. You got Miami. You got Florida State. You got Clemson. A lot of question marks to go with those favorites. So Va Tech, I think, a prime suspect to get their leap on in 2024. Let's stay in the ACC. Miami, man. Continuity and quarterback. Those 2 ingredients are dangerous when it comes to making a jump, and they've been making jumps from year 1 to year 2. Now they go into year 3 of the Cristobal regime. Just because it hasn't shown up in the win-loss column how you want it to yet doesn't mean it's not on its way. Okay, 7-6 last year. I feel like we always have to provide a little asterisk that if they take an either 8-4, it is what it is. But look at what's happened for them. Trust the trend, right? We say that right now when it comes to these, teams that can make a leap. Trust the trend. Total offense from year 1 to year 2, 85th nationally to top 25 nationally. Yards per play offensively, 89th to 22nd. You're not seeing it in the win-loss column, but you're seeing it on paper start to trend the right direction. Defensively, 54th in the country in rush defense to 11th. It's a nice little leap. Total defense, 64th nationally to 24th nationally. So they're making these massive strides statistically. I think it's only a matter of time before we're able to really capitalize that. I think that's year 3. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this team jump from 7 wins to 10 wins. No Clemson on the schedule. They get Florida State at home. The U, tell you what, man, if the U, similar to what we've said about Notre Dame and the way that they're trending, if Miami gets some juice and has some on-field success, kids are already looking for a reason to go play ball in the 305. I'll tell you that right now. You don't need to make this enormously convincing sales pitch to get a kid to come play football in Miami. We'll leave it at that. Nebraska, they were 5-7 in 2023. For Matt Rule, though, man, if you trust the trend, there's always that second-year bump for him. At Baylor, they won like 1 or 2 games his first year. The second year, they made a bowl game and won a bowl game. Same deal at Temple. 1 win, 2 wins his first year. Second year, they went and became bowl eligible. Nebraska, though, this isn't just us saying this. This is something Matt Rule has said to us on this very show. It was a different year 1 for him. Their roster is not at the same ground zero that those rosters were at Temple and Baylor. So for year 2 now, I don't think you need to have this massive change when it comes to the way that they do things. There needs to be an adaptation to the way they do things. And what I mean by that is it has to go from, like Matt Rule said, the coach's way to the players in that locker room owning the process and the way that the coaches are telling them to do things. Has to be player-led. But I don't think they need to have some crazy performance from whoever plays quarterback for them. We've been really transparent. We wholeheartedly believe it'll be Dylan Raiola playing quarterback for them in Lincoln this year. But even with that being said, like, he doesn't have to go for 30 touchdowns and 5 picks. If he just goes for 20 touchdowns and 7 picks, that'll be good enough for them to make a jump. So I wouldn't be surprised if this team jumped from 5 wins into that 8-win category. Now, to be clear, the Big Ten is going to be a little bit more tricky this year, right? You add in the Oregon, the USC, the UCLA, the Washington, it'll be a little bit more difficult. But Nebraska, I think, with Matt Rule, the way that he's done things at different stops, year 2 is always a bit of a bump here for him. I expect no different for them at Nebraska, his second year in Lincoln. Now, a Matt Rule disciple is Joey McGuire. He's the head coach at Texas Tech. And they're sneaky, man. They're sneaky. They won 7 football games a year ago. Lots of unquantifiables for them. And when I say unquantifiables, I mean things that don't necessarily show up when you turn on the tape or when you look at the stat sheet. But they do things behind closed doors in a way that's generated sort of this opinion across personnel departments. That is, Texas Tech, the way that they eval is different than a lot of other places across the country. They take on the professional model, which is we have a personnel department, a scouting department, and they're going to go and find the top talent. And when we find that top talent, we will then pass that talent to our linebackers coach, to our receivers coach. And so I say all that to say the folks across the talent acquisition world speak really highly of Texas Tech. And I think it's only a matter of time before we see their eval process that folks rave about really translate at a high level to the field. They bring back Taj Brooks, who was a 1,000-yard rusher a season ago in the Big 12. Wide open conference. Same thing we say about the ACC, man. Same deal is true of the Big 12. You just subtract the top 2 rosters from the conference from a talent level, and Texas and Oklahoma gone to the SEC. If Texas Tech is able to build off what they did a season ago, they're going to be in contention to be a 10-win football team. They had 3 losses last year by 1 score. Okay, so if you change the narrative on a couple of those, you change a play here, a play there, Texas Tech might have found their way to Jerry World. But right now, I would be hard-pressed to not put them in that game when it comes to that first weekend of December. Not making our prediction, but that's the way I feel about Texas Tech. Very, very high on them at this point in time. Wisconsin, another 7-6 win football team. In year 2, you start to see a little bit more of a team take on the personality and the DNA traits of their head coach. Luke Fickell is 2 things, man. He's tough, wrestling background, his teams have been tough, and he's a winner. He's won 70% of his football games as a head coach, going back to his time at Cincinnati. And there's a lot of continuity in Wisconsin, too. That running back room, you lose Braylon Allen, who's built like Thanos, and that's always going to be tough when you lose someone like that carrying the ball for you. But you bring back Ches Malusi, who's going to be a stud for you. And you also went out and took a big swing in the transfer portal and went and got Tyler Van Dyke to play quarterback for you. Now, his background, we've said it a lot on this show. I think it fits really nicely with that Phil Longo kind of air raid approach. Luke Fickell went from 4 wins to 11 wins, year 1 to year 2 at Cincinnati. The Big Ten is going to be tough, but I would not be surprised if Wisconsin took a 2 to 3 win jump as well in his second year in Madison. So Va-Tech, Miami, Nebraska, Texas Tech, and Wisconsin, all I believe should be on Leap Watch for college football fans all over the country. So let me know who you think are some leap year teams. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.